Okay, so very good morning to all of you. Our topic is prevention of occupational disease. We are going to discuss measures, preventive measures of occupational disease. So, write down in chat box what occupational disease do you know? What are the different occupational diseases that you know? Write down in chat box. What are different occupational diseases that you know? Write down in chat box. What are different occupational disease that you know? Write down in chat box. Yes, I have got the answer. Silicosis, hay fever, fine. Which other disease? Occupational asthma can be there. Then, which other disease? So, all the disease which are related to different occupation, right? Any particular disease which are related to medical occupation? Disease due to medical occupation. Okay, for previous question, pneumoconiosis, bagasosis, vicinosis, very good, lead poisoning. Okay, fine. These are due to working in various industries, coal. Okay, occupational disease due to medical occupation. Anybody else? Pneumoconiosis, metal and gas poisoning. Okay, fine. Which occupational disease can occur to doctors, nurses? Varicose vein for the surgeons. Okay, to nurses, very good. Viral disease, yes. So all the infectious disease that we come across during our routine OPD as well as IPD work. So we can acquire that infection. Currently, medical persons are at the greatest risk for acquiring corona infection, right? Radiation exposure to doctors, very good. Okay, so those who are radiologists and working in X-ray facility, that radiologists as well as the technicians who are involved in that work, they may get the radiation exposure, and due to radiation exposure, continuous radiation exposure, there can be also leukemia, right? It can affect the reproductive system also. Preventive measures of this occupational health. It's not moving slide. Just a second. So health problem due to industrialization, you have already mentioned due to various occupation. Then we are going to see measures for health protection of worker. And this topic has been divided into two parts. Today, in first part, we were going to discuss about medical measures and engineering measures for prevention of occupational disease. Right. So, health problem due to industrialization, apart from the occupational disease, because of the growing industry, there can be environmental sanitation problem. Right. Because of the growing industry, environment become polluted, various air pollution, water pollution, whatever the drainage which is generated, whatever wastewater is generated from the industry, it is directly poured into the river water, right? So that water become polluted because of the polluted air, right? Because of that chimney, that air pollution, right? Radiation hazards. So this environmental sanitation problem and pollution. Sewage disposal, I already told. Due to industrialization, there can be more communicable diseases. In industry, the workers who are working in close context, so they may acquire communicable disease from one another. There can be problem of the food sanitation, right? Accidents in industry, there are more chances of the accidents. Workers working in the industry, you know that various equipments are there, heavy machineries are there. So because of this heavy machinery, there can be chances of the accidents. You may have seen various movies. In various movies you may have seen that accidents, especially that movie of Amitabh Bachchan, Coolie. I think Coolie or something else, I don't remember exactly the name. So in that also accident have been shown, right? The workers working in this industry. Mental health problem due to continuous work, due to overwork, stress. So not only due to industry, but in all the occupations, right? So it can lead to the anxiety and stress and mental health problem, social problem, right? So because workers are working in industry, or the place of the work may be different from their home, so they may be not social connected with their family members, and they may feel loneliness, so it may lead to the social problem, right? Morbidity and mortality due to occupational disease, we have already discussed about different disease, you know about different disease, and it may lead to morbidity and mortality. So aim of occupational health, right? There is a concept of occupational health, not just health. You know very well the definition of the health, right, given by the WHO. Now this is occupational health, that is promotion and maintenance of the highest degree of physical, mental, and social well-being of the workers in all occupation. Right? Again, I repeat, that is the promotion and maintenance of the highest degree of physical, mental, and social well-being. See, that is the similar definition, somewhat similarity between this health definition as well as occupational health definition. Right? Physical, mental, social dimensions are there. So, promotion and maintenance of the highest degree of physical, mental, and social well-being of in all occupation. Right? That is the aim of the occupational health. There is one concept, one terminology known as ergonomics. Right? This is very important. So in industry as well as in all the working environment, ergonomic, fitting the job to the worker, or we can simply say that our workplace should be fitting to us, and we should be also fitting to workplace. Correct? For example, currently we are taking this live lecture, and you may be handling the mobile in front of you. So if you continuously hold the mobile for about 45 minutes to 1 hour, right, then it may be tiresome to your hand. So it is not fitting. It is not proper ergonomic. In place of that, just you keep your mobile in front of a hard object, in front of the hard object, and you don't have to hold it continuously, and you may be sitting on the chair, right? So it is more convenient to you. That is called proper ergonomic, right? If the screen of the computer is just above me, then it will be not be ergonomic for my neck. You may have experienced that whenever you are booking the ticket of cinema, right? Currently, since so many months, we may have also forgotten this theater, right? So if you are booking the ticket of the cinema, you are selecting the seats of the last rows, right? So that your head should be, your eyes should be straight, facing towards the screen, right? If your seat is right in front of the screen, then it is not proper ergonomic for your neck, right? So ergonomic is proper fitting of the job to the worker, right? So it is the principle which is applied in industry, right? Suppose worker has to carry the heavy object. In place of the carrying of the heavy object, there are some machineries which carry that object in place of the worker. So that is the proper ergonomic, one of the example of proper ergonomic, right? So okay, in occupational health, this ergonomic is also important. Slide is not moving, just it is working slow. There is some technical issue in the laptop right now. Okay, again I am sharing this. PowerPoint is open. I am again sharing this slide. So we have discussed about ergonomics. So measures for health protection for workers as recommended by WHO working committee in 1953. These measures, so we are going to discuss medical measures and engineering measures, right? So first is nutrition, proper nutrition, not only for workers, for all the people, nutrition is important. So if a worker is having proper nutrition, then he can work, concentrate properly. Communicable disease control, right? So the workers who are working in close proximity, they should be having the proper health education for the control of the communicable disease. Then environmental sanitation. See, proper environmental sanitation help us to work in pleasurable, to work properly. If your environment around yourself is not fresh as well as not clean, then it will not be proper. You will not be working properly. Your concentration will not develop. So environmental sanitation, general plant cleanliness. That is, your plant should be clean, right? Whatever the machineries there, whatever equipments are used, if they are clean, then chance of accident will be less. Sufficient space should be available for the workers to work, right? Whenever we are working in close proximity, then we are not feeling comfortable to work, and if the insufficient space is available, then chances of accidents are more. Proper lighting, proper lighting is important for working in proper working in environment. If your light is inadequate, then chances of accidents are more. So insufficient space, insufficient lighting, all this lead to the more chance of accident, right? Ventilation and temperature. So we like to work in proper ventilation. In our home also, we select our house where proper ventilation is available, right? And maintenance of the temperature, not too cold, not too hot, right? So whatever the temperature which is suitable for our body, that ventilation and temperature are required. So again, I repeat this, just naming measures: nutrition, communicable disease control, environmental sanitation, general plant cleanliness, sufficient space, lighting, and ventilation and temperature. So these are again continuation. Protection against hazards. So there are many hazards like noise, like the electricity, like acids, like alkali. So by giving proper health education as well as by providing proper personal protective equipment, workers should be protected against hazards. They should be also taught that how to be protected yourself from the hazard. That is the part of the health education. Then other parts we should be that should be also concentrated, right? And that is providing proper housing, mental health services, measures for women and children. So workers who are working in their industry, their women and children, their wives and children, they should be also given the maternal and child health services, proper vaccination, antenatal services. So to their family member also, according to this WHO committee, they should be also health services should be provided, health education and family planning services. So there is an area in the occupational industry for medical persons also. After completing MBBS or after completing your graduation, that there are some courses in occupational disease, like a certificate course in industrial health, like in associate fellow in industrial health. If you this may be maximum of 6 months or one year duration. So if you complete this AFIH, associate fellowship in industrial health, after completing it, you may have the chance to get work as a medical professional in industry. In many times in big industries like Reliance or like SR, you may get the chance to work. So that is this is the basic part of that occupational health science, right? So medical measures, in that you will if you carry on that course, you are being taught the medical measures in detail as well as practical experience. Just that PowerPoint has lost sharing, I think so. Then second is engineering measures, right? So some of the idea about the engineering measures, although that is the part of engineers as well as those who are building the industry, right? And legislative measures. So we will discuss these two topics today. So medical measures. First and foremost importance in medical measures is pre-placement examination. There is one act, that is Factory Act 1948. According to Factory 1948, two types of examinations for the workers in industry is always necessary: pre-placement examination and periodic examination. Even if we talk about the government services, after passing MBBS, when you join the government services, always pre-placement examination of your medical examination of yourself is being carried out. You will be directed to the medical board. In our Jamnagar, there is medical board, and your detailed history as well as investigations in various departments, pathological investigation as well as routine blood and urine examination, X-ray. All these examinations are being carried out when you get the job in government services, not only for doctors but for all the Gujarat government employee. Pre-placement examination is being carried out. So the purpose of the pre-placement examination is to place the right man in the right job, right? So for example, suppose who is having the defect in eye, defect in vision, if that person is placed in the as a ST driver, then it will not be suitable, it will be harmful to the society, right? So the purpose is to place the right man in the right job. That is the main aim of this replacement examination. So it is done at the time of the employment, at the time of the entry in organization, at the time of the entry in government job, right? Workers, medical, family, occupational and social history is being carried out, is being taken in medical measures. Total history, medical history, family history, occupational history, physical examination, full physical examination by medical officer as well as physician is being carried out where the facility of physician is available. Biological examination, radiological examination in form of the X-ray, it is being carried out. Right? Some hazards or undesirable condition, right? So this may be important. This may be asked in your MCQ that lead may lead to anemia, hypertension, peptic ulcer. Right? If the ingestion of the lead is there continuously, workers who are working in industry which is using lead, if maybe dust of the lead may get ingested continuously, and it may lead to the peptic ulcer because of the irritation of the GIT. Most important feature in lead is toxicity is anemia and hypertension. Workers working in dye, because of the allergy, it may lead to the asthma, skin disease, and kidney disease. Solvent, those who are working in solvent plant, that may get dermatitis, liver and kidney disease. Exposure to silica may lead to the lung disease and the silicotuberculosis, in fact. Right? Radium exposure may lead to the signs of other ill health. So these are some examples. Then periodic examination. So after pre-placement examination, routine periodic examination is also necessary, because the person may not have the disease at the time of the entry in the job, right? But some disease may get time to develop, or during the work, workers may develop the disease. So that is to identify the person who may be suffering from any disease. Periodic examination, that is also a form of the surveillance. This is called the active surveillance. This is example of active surveillance. So it depends that frequency of the examination may be mostly once a year, but those who are working in this toxic industries, like lead, like mercury, so the industry which is working toxic material, 6 monthly examination may be also necessary, and or monthly examination in case of the lead, dye, and radium exposure industries. So particular care to the worker who is returning from the medical leave. Suppose worker has taken medical leave due to any disease, and he is now fit and returning to the industry after this medical leave. So his or her examination should be taken periodically, and particular care of that worker should be taken. Medical and healthcare services, for that ESI facility, employee state insurance scheme, is there. So for industrial worker in this ESI scheme, you may have seen this in different class also, and we will be taking in next class also, but just I am briefing that in employment state insurance scheme, there is free medical examination, free medical services are given to the worker as well as their family. And OPD services as well as IPD, indoor facilities, are also given in ESI hospitals, right? So it is taking care of the industrial worker. First aid services, industry itself, availability of the proper first aid in form of basic first aid kit, which may contain some bandages, some basic medicines, as well as some dressing material and antiseptic. It may prevent development of the disease in later stage. So first aid services are most important, which is to be kept under the Factory Act as well as for ESI in worker and industry. Immunization, as you know that immunization is important for all the children as well as the workers, so that they may not get the infectious disease. So prevention of the communicable disease is most important part, and that is covered by immunization. Notification is the measure that you notify the disease. Whenever any person is suffering from any disease, we notify it for the benefit of the society. Like in case of the current COVID era, if any person in our society gets COVID, then we notify to the president that in our society there is one case of the corona, so that other person should take care, as well as that person should be isolated, and that person should not meet the other to avoid the contact. So here we notify. As you know that you may have experienced that initially in March and April, whenever the cases number were low, that name of the people were published in newspaper also. So that is notification. Here also, in case of the industry, that proper notification can initiate the measures for prevention and control of the effective application. Right? If any worker may have developed the accident because of the improper working of the machinery, if it is notified to the owner, then that corrective measures, that replacement of that machinery or repairing of that machinery is to be carried out, as well as it may help to the worker who has developed the disease. Right? So investigate, it may Initiate the investigation of the working condition. So under Factory Act, there are 22 notifiable diseases. Under Mines Act, there are 3 notifiable diseases. Under Dock Regulation Act, dock is those who are working in the port, right? There are 8 diseases which are notifiable. Supervision of the working environment. So all the supervisors, including owner, they should be continuously supervising the working environment. If you are working in occupational as an occupational health consultant in industry, as I have told you that after getting this AFIH degree, if you are working, you should be also having the continuous and the duty of the continuous supervision of the working environment. In industry, then you should be familiar with the various machineries as well as various material equipment which is used, and what are their implication in health science, that what dangers or what are the hazards because of that machinery, or what are the hazards because of that material, that you should be continuously familiar, and your continuous supervision may guide the workers to work in the best environment, avoiding the disease. So frequent visits by physician to the factory by the occupational physician, right, and check various aspects of the working environment. So physician should be acquainted with the raw material, as I have told you, that raw material, process, and products. Right? As a doctor, currently we may not be familiar with all these industries, right? But whenever any doctor is working as an occupational physician, then by the virtue of working, he may develop the experience of all these processes and all the product around which he is working, and to study various aspects of the occupational physiology, right? Enlist cooperation of the safety engineer, industrial hygienist, psychologist. So along with the physician, engineers, industrial hygienists, so physician can guide proper way of engineering corrections, so that working environment become friendly with the worker, and it may avoid the occupational disease. Maintenance and analysis of the record, not only in occupation but in all the things. Records keeping is important. For example, in case of the corona, if we have the records that which district is reporting more, which district has the more cases, then the health system can direct their workforce more in that district. Right? So that is the importance of the record. It is essential for the planning, right? Development and efficient operation of the occupational health services. If particular industry is reporting a more number of the cancer cases, then the appropriate measures can be taken to replace the whatever chemical which is causing the cancer. Right? Maintenance of the workers' health record and occupational disability record, that can also guide that comparison, that previously worker had that disease, nowadays this worker is suffering from this disease, right? Health education and counseling, it can start before the worker enters the factory, as well as it may be continuous. It is not that once health education is given, that worker is always educated. You know that whatever the education we received, we should be continuously receiving the education. Once this topic is over, you may forget that, but continuously, if you repeatedly read, in our medical science also, repeated revisions are useful, right? So such a way, health education and counseling is also a repeated phenomenon, right? So that health education may include the explanation of the correct use of the protective devices, right? How to use properly the gloves, how to use properly mask, right? We are wearing mask in COVID disease, but proper wearing of the mask can only protect. Otherwise, we are wearing the mask and we are touching the outer surface, so that our hands may get infected. Right? So improper wearing of the mask, there is no role of the improper wearing, only proper wearing. So in industry also, proper wearing of all the personal protective equipment, helmet, gloves, safety gloves, then there's rubber gloves, right? Rubber shoes, these are given, the mask, right? Remind about the dangers in industry, right? Assist the worker in his process of adjustment to working, home, and community involvement. So this were about the medical measures. In medical measures, mainly two things: pre-employment examination, periodic examination, and other services. Engineering measures, design of the building. So Although as a medical person we may not be directly involved in engineering measures, but according to our best knowledge, we can suggest engineers as well as the owner of the factory that how to design the building properly, so that workers may have minimum risk of getting the disease. This design of the building may include proper ventilation, proper lighting, right, and proper cleanliness. So maintenance of the proper cleanliness. So that is essential for maintaining this engineering measure at the start of at the establishment of the factory. It is essential. Good housekeeping. It includes all the sanitation, housekeeping, sanitation in form of the floor sanitation, sanitation of the all the walls, proper. It also include the proper supply of the water for housekeeping, general ventilation, as I've already told, mechanization. So in industry, mechanical work in place of the manual work. Most of the work, as you know, that nowadays it is automatic. So many automatic things can prevent hazards, prevents injury, prevent accidents. Substitution, right? Substitution is what? That is replacement of the hazardous substance with the non-hazardous substance. That is called substitution. Dust. So to control the dust, as you know that in grinding industry there may be more dust development. So sprinkling of the water wherever the dust is generated, it may help to control the dust, as well as adding the little bit moisture in this operational plant, right? So it may also make the environment dust free. So one important thing in dust generating industry, it is enclosure. So where the dust is generated, that environment, that part is to be enclosed. That is that dust generating activity is to be carried out in closed environment. For example, in your household, you may be familiar with that machine which operates for grinding wheat. That chakki, right? Local garganti. That is where you're grinding your cereals and pulses, right? So while grinding, that machine is enclosed, so that whatever dust is generated because of the grinding of the cereals, it may not spread on the whole household, right? So that is example of the enclosed environment where this machine is operating. Isolation. Nowadays, you are familiar more with this isolation word. All the community is familiar. Those who is suffering from the disease, they should be isolated. But here, engineering measure, this isolation in form of engineering measure means the machinery or the equipment or the process which is causing harmful, which is causing hazard, they should be carried out in the separate building, in the separate room. That is called isolation. So to prevent the hazards to the other workers. Local exhaust ventilation, particularly for the dust generating environment, exhaust may be helpful. Protective devices, personal protective devices in form of the mask, safety shoes, helmet, etc. Environmental monitoring, I have told previously also, the continuous monitoring of the environment in form of the cleanliness, ventilation, etc. Lighting, it may be helpful. That's statistical monitoring and research. So these were all about the medical and engineering measures for prevention and control of the occupational disease. In next part, we will be discussing about the ASI and other things. Thank you very much.